Get Heavy Podcast, hosted by Craig Casamas and John Scheimer.
Yo, what's up, brother?
What's up, guys?
How the hell are you?
Good.
Darrell, meet John. John, meet Darrell.
What's up, dude?
How's it going, man? Nice to meet you.
Nice nausea t-shirt.
Thanks, man. Yeah. This is one. This is actually one that came out last year because John Jesse, their guitar player, has become ill and has like some crazy nerve thing going on.
Mm.
And this is like the first official shirt they had since the band was a band.
Oh wow!
So
yeah, it's just straight
bought it.
bootlegs from them. I mean, you don't ever get a Nazi shirt.
Yeah.
That's
I
interesting.
as it should be, but
Yeah.
it was nice to be able to get an official shirt. So
I wonder if you did the math, how much Headline Records would owe Nausea. You know what I mean? It's so
Well, it
much
was
money,
funny,
probably.
when I did those tours with Discharge, fucking that's like all we would talk about is like how they're like we're just fucking bootlegged all over the place.
Oh yeah.
And then there's a couple different members of that band, like Bones has his own t-shirt deals with these people over here.
Mhm.
And then like Rainy and Tezzy have these deals over here with these people.
That's funny.
And it's just like this weird clusterfuck of just like,
Yeah.
weird bootlegness. So yeah.
Punk rock capitalism, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know it. No, it's funny you mentioned nerve stuff. The lead singer and lead guitarist of Deeds of Flesh died 2 years ago from MS.
Wow, really?
And and they're Los Osos, like Northern California, like mid-central California near Atascadero and those areas.
Mm-hmm.
And he passed, and the bunch of the old bandmates have gotten together, and basically they had a record written, and they're dropping it on the 10th.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
And it's got like some of the original members and drummers, and then even like guest vocalists like Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse is on a song. And like so a bunch of people are filling in the gaps. And I'm looking forward to it. That drops on the 10th of this month. So
yeah.
I'm supporting my Locust.
Oh, look at you, dude.
Yeah.
That's a deep cut now.
I went, this is actually a brand new hoodie that they had on sale, and I was like, I need that.
That band is I actually listened to him the other day. We were talking about him, and my drummer Rob had never heard him before.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, oh my God, dude, they were so gnarly back then. I have a VHS tape of like them playing at the PCH. Like before the first record came out, and it's a full set of theirs, dude. I gotta put it online or send it to you or something. You know
that club was nasty.
It was
like my band played there a few times in college, and I remember opening for a band called Captain Three Leg, and it was kind of like very much His Heroes Gone kind of stuff. And but the craziest show I ever saw there was Zayo, and that was out of control. But speaking of the Locust, the last time I saw them was at Coos Cafe in Santa Ana. I was behind the bass player's bass rig dodging loogies. People were spitting on the band, and I was just like, and like they were like loaches flying everywhere. Like there was no standing room. I was on there's no real stage there at that venue.
Yeah.
And it's well gone now, but I was like with my old college roommate, I was like, let's get behind the bass rig. And we stood behind the bass player for the whole show. It was nuts.
Did you just spend your time at ground zero? This is before they did the costumes, probably?
Yes, it was pre that. It was very like Murder City Devils era, like kind of like very like, I don't know, switchblade tight t-shirts and jeans and big hair is what it was like. And this was, I want to say 98, 99, to early 2000, somewhere around there. And then the masks came on, of course. And I remember opening for Cattle Decapitation at that venue, and the lead singer came out with big platform like shoes and like a Frankenstein outfit and a mask made of beef jerky, and he was spitting yogurt on the crowd. He was pounding those little Yoplait cups, and he was just like spewing yogurt on the crowds. People were wearing cow suits, and I was just like, man, this is nuts.
Yeah. The Locust was insane watching him. I saw him like 5 or 6 times, and I remember when they switched to the outfits because it just was getting too nuts. Like they would talk shit, they'd fight. I mean, there wasn't a single show where the bass player didn't hit someone with his bass. Like they spit on, they were fucking. I mean, they couldn't even get through a set, you know. And then all of a sudden, it was just like zip. They don't say a fucking word now, you know what I mean? They play in
and they just get up there and tear it up. Yeah,
and it's even more gnarly now. You know?
Yeah, I haven't. I don't go to a lot of shows, but the last show I went to was in December of last year, before all this lockdown stuff. I actually got to see Cave-In. They were on their Caleb tour, and I was rad. That was like it was at Chain Reaction in Santa Ana, and I met a bunch of my buddies down there, and it was just really cool. And I was like, oh, that was my last show ever.
Yeah,
I just don't know.
Little did you know, right?
That's a lot cooler than the last band that I saw before lockdown.
Right.
The last band I saw before lockdown was G-Love and his Special Sauce.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they're great dudes, and I work with them a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I just remember because it was all going down.
Yeah.
And I was hanging with their crew, and we're just like talking about it because it was like it was the last day that everything was at 250 capacity. After it was like when every day when it was like, oh, they hit 1,000, oh, they're down to 500, oh, they're down to 250, and it was like okay, this is gonna be the last show.
Yeah.
And I just remember like me looking at him going like, man, I can't believe that this is gonna be my last fucking show for the rest of the year. Like, you guys are really fucking nice, but God, your music is fucking horrible. It is absolutely horrible, and people love it. You know what I mean? So book it, but you know, hey, everyone deserves to party.
Yeah,
but God, like, you know.
I mean, what little did you like? If you would have known that it would have been literally your last show you would see for a solid year, like, I probably would have tried to just get out of it. I know you probably couldn't, but
I would have definitely gone somewhere. Well, actually, okay. So that was the last show I worked. Actually, I totally forgot this. Like, I saw 2 songs of Lack of Interest.
Okay. All right.
Saturday. They played like a reunion show that Saturday. That G-Love show was on the Thursday of lockdown week, and Lack of Interest was Saturday.
Well, I'd say that one then.
So I guess I could get Lack of Interest. But G-Love is such a cooler. Yeah. G-Love just is so much more cool to say for some reason. Like, you know, me with a nausea shirt, smoking bowls. G-Love and a Special Sauce.
Oh,
so, man. I mean, dude, me and you have known each other for at least 25 years at this point, right? And, you know, I remember, like, you were actually the first person that got me into Neurosis, dude, which was that's a big day.
Really?
I mean, you were very...
Man, I ruined your life.
I know, well, yeah, you did, but, you know, I'd, like, heard of them before and maybe seen that Locust Star, you know what I mean, song.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember when me and you met, you know, because you've always liked gnarly grindcore, and I was definitely into that stuff back in the day, you know. But then you were like, dude, you want to check something out? And it was like, oh shit, man. So it's been always like such a in the back of my mind. You remember those few people that turned you on to those things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the heavy, slow stuff.
That's right. Because you spent a lot of time out in Anaheim, right? Going to college or Orange County area, right?
In '97 to 2001, I was in college. And it was just a hub for hardcore bands and metal bands. Like,
that's a good place to be for that kind of music.
I can't
in that time.
I can't tell you, like, standing feet away from Botch performing live to like convert, like just little things like that where you like you'd never get, like being in certain parts of the country, like everyone came to that part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, oh, I'm really into Nile and Cannibal Corpse. Oh, they're playing at the showcase.
Right. Yeah.
And they're opening, and I gotta drive 15 minutes.
Right.
It was nuts. It was just being able to like just hop in a car with my buds and just experience all those bands. And of course, having a band and opening for some of those acts was just loads of fun. I miss it tremendously, you know, and I do have a confession to make. I totally, as I was getting a divorce in 2015, around 2016 or so, I was in a real bad funk, and my buddy, David Erickson, calls me up and he goes, Neurosis is playing with Converge. You're coming with me. And I'm like, I can't, bro. I can't. And like, to this day, I haven't seen Neurosis live.
Oh,
and dude, it is so lame. It's so lame. And I just was in a funk and I didn't go. And I still regret it, like immensely. He said it was, he texted me when he was there. He's like, you suck. Like you should be here right now, you know, kind of thing. And I just
really
felt
truly disappointed in you.
Dude, that's despicable.
Little did you know how many years later you'd still be mad at yourself for it.
Exactly. But we all go through stuff, and you know, I'm much better now. But that was like a one regret I had in that whole era of my life of shows and bands that I've missed out on. I
thought you meant it was the one regret you had for your divorce.
Nah. Actually, get along with my
like, you know, I should have just stayed with her. I probably would have been up enough to go to see Neurosis.
To go to Neurosis, just hang in there one more year.
One more year.
No, we could have worked that out for a little bit.
No, but I've gone down the rabbit hole with like Steve Von Till's solo albums, Mirrors to Psychic Warfare. That is a great. I don't know if you guys have heard that.
I've heard a little bit of it.
It's more like electronic. There's some good stuff there that I just really dig. I've actually recently gotten into King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. You guys heard them?
Yeah.
They've got that song Vomit Coffin and like the all of that. My buddy, my drummer from Lynch, my metal band, texted me and he goes, dude, you need to listen to this, watch this video. And like, they're weird because they do weird albums, but that album I really like that stuff's coming.
Well, they're all over the place. I mean, one album's like a fucking stoner album, the next one's like a psych album, and it's all weird, you know. They're one of the weird bands that gets to do whatever they want, you know.
They want, and I've discovered that because I started listening to some of their other albums. I'm like, this isn't really floating me right now. It's like a Baroness, like they're an acquired taste, like. There's times where I'm like, I want to listen to this, but then I'm just like, I don't know. You know, High on Fire is a good band. I have to be in the mood for it. You know, just stuff like that. It's just I'm real moody with my music, and you know, I still have that metal vein that, dude, it'll never go away. I'll be listening to grindcore until I die.
You really like. There's so many guys that say that. You know what I mean? And you are really, truly one of the guys that I would be shocked if you're like, man, you know, I just thought I'm just not digging it anymore.
You know, like when COVID
hit, no way, man. This must be the revelation happening.
Oh yeah. When COVID hit, everyone was bummed, you know, all this stuff was going on. And then I was like immediately kind of all better when Cattle Decapitation released that video for bring back the plague, and he's screeching, hoarding toilet paper. I was like, oh man, this is so good.
They get it, man. They get it every time.
I never saw that. I'll have to check that out.
Oh, dude, check it out. Do yourself a favor after the podcast. Just bring back the plague video by Cattle Decap. It'll make you laugh.
So and all the times we hung out, like, what did you go to college for? Art graphics and stuff like that? What'd you go to college for?
I went, you know, here's the interesting part is I went in as pastoral ministry, like as a major, and you know, I still have my faith. I would consider myself an unfundamentalist Christian. So very much more left-leaning and accepting of all people and, you know, that kind of thing. And I was like, no, this isn't going to be for me. And my grandma was like, why aren't you going to art school? As she's handing me a check to go to school. And I said, Grandma, I don't want to draw fruit. Like a smart ass. And for me at the time, it was about music. I loved music and I loved people. And so I ended up with a degree in cultural anthropology. studying world religions, culture, all that kind of stuff, and being just fascinated with the world we inhabit and why people disagree, and just understanding the psychology of human beings. And I had to go to a Christian university to get a liberal education to open my mind to a broader world, because my worldview was so like just one way for so long. It just being how I was raised, there are good and bad things about that, but I don't regret anything. I don't regret spending a fortune on my college degree. I made some of the best friends. As soon as I got on campus, a year had passed and I had the heaviest hardcore death metal band on campus that ever existed. And we were playing shows opening for like Dillinger Escape Plan and stuff in no time. And we didn't tour a lot, but
that was Lynch, right?
We were able to kind of like corner ourselves into the market down in Orange County there, to just be that band that opened for a lot of those different bands. And it was a blast, you know. And when I graduated, I kind of floundered. We're like the band, everyone was kind of going in a different direction. The guitarist was writing things in a way I didn't like, and we just decided to disband. And then I had a black metal band with a friend of mine that was in development called Thorondor, which is like the name of like the Lord of the Eagles and Lord of the Rings. And our writing process was like shrill black metal and doom metal. And our model was, what do you think of that riff? And we'd be playing it, and it was real dissonant chordage and stuff. And my drummer would always go, could you slit your wrist to it? That was like the band's motto. And it was just really heavy and really dark. And then that band disbanded because I caught my drummer's girlfriend cheating on him, and I had to tell him, and so we moved back to Hawaii. It was awful. So that broke my band up, and that was the last real band I had. But the art stuff, I always drew as a kid.
Yeah, you've always been an incredible artist. I mean,
oh, thank you.
You know, I've always remember seeing your art.
I just love doing it. Like I draw the band logos and stuff and do all my artwork. And then after the band stuff imploded, I met my business partner LARPing out in the woods. And like we're talking like full on a scale attacking in darkness. It was awesome. And him and he could write, and we just started developing and creating content. And then the next thing I know, 15 years later, I've got a publishing company that's publishing comic books and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Like I got a Kickstarter dropping tomorrow for one of my projects that I co-wrote. And I have a different artist handling that book and stuff, but it's a blast. I love it. It's very rewarding. It's not lucrative. It's financially difficult, as everything these days are, you know, because of the lockdowns and everything. But yeah, dude, I still love music. Music's a regular part of my life, but now it's more about the art and drawing, designing things, and that's where I'm at. So
so Stranger Comics has like 5 or 6 different like comic books, like series under your. Is it all under your guys' actual belt?
Yeah, it's our publishing company. We're not self-publishers, we're independent publishers. So we publish other material as well. But yeah, we have like our Asunda franchise, and then we have a multiple little other things that are aside from that, like kids books and, you know, little things like that, and other what we call intellectual property that we retain through that. So yeah.
Okay. So like so you mentioned that you had to go to a Christian college to get a liberal degree. And then how you were raised in kind of like a what you were saying, like maybe a smaller minded way of thinking and narrow minded way of looking at it. And then like obviously you've discovered, you know what I mean? Like but basically what I'm trying to get to is what was it that like kind of made you curious about like the outside world what made you curious about the outside world as opposed to what you were raised as?
I was buried in rampant hypocrisy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was raised Catholic. I always call myself a recovering Catholic.
Yeah. I have a good home.
Like everyone has like these moments, and I just like I'm always interested in like what is it that like kind of like sets someone off of like, oh shit, like
Yeah, I had specific professors that I believe this, and like, well, why?
Right.
And when you're 19 and someone questions what you believe in, you actually have to think about what you believe in. Well, why? Like, I just remember answering the question, him saying, that's not an answer. Well, why? And just things like that, like just asking yourself, because I had a good home, no home, I had a great childhood, but life is not perfect and everything. I love my parents and my family and everything, but I just started to realize that, like, being especially in these times today, like what it means to be a good citizen of this planet. And I just saw enough people under the guise of fundamentalism and evangelicalism not living that way, not living according to the teachings that they're supposedly following.
Right.
And I was like, I'm wasting my time. Is what I said. This is between me and God, nobody else, is kind of how I put it. And I found peace in that. It was a struggle. Trust me, I struggled with things. I still do. But I just want to be able to be there for friends of mine and people in my life, from all walks of life. I know people from all walks of life, from Satanists to whatever, to just people that I could call right now and be like, how are you, man? Just because I wasn't some hypocritical, smug bastard, like so many people I know have been in my life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A genuine human, and understanding world religions from an anthropological perspective, understanding how old the concept of religion is. And that's what I loved about Neurosis, because I find them to be very spiritual.
Oh yeah, probably the most spiritual band around, dude. I mean, honestly, watching them is it's a totally different animal,
Yeah, I just remember hearing that which is above is that which is below.
As above, so below.
Yeah, that line, and I just remember hearing that, and just everything from that to like Tom Waits, understanding, like just hearing like real intelligent people tackle really intelligent problems or hard, difficult problems was a big deal for me, especially at that age. I don't know, we're all impressionable at a certain age.
Oh
and
yeah.
Just at some point we all kind of grow up and we figure, hey, this isn't working for me. Like that doesn't add up, And I had a few moments like that, going to a different like university, as closed-minded as it was at the time and still is probably. I at least was immersed in a world where people were making me question things and understanding where they come from.
I mean, the crazy thing is, a lot of people don't want to change. A lot of people want to just, they're like, everyone, their favorite band was in high school, It hasn't been since high school, Look at how many people are in the world like that. And it's like, those people are the people that just get stuck in their ways, and they're like,
we got to grow as we get older. I mean, dude, like, look at what we're all doing. Like, we all lead different lives. Here I am talking to you guys, and it's like we're all in a different place, dealing with different problems. All of us deal with all these different things, and to think that everyone needs to think the way I do is so narcissistic, because my brain chemistry is not your brain chemistry or your brain chemistry, like, flat out. And just the way you were raised and enculturated and all these things. And it's like, hey, just be kind.
Yeah.
Like, I know it sounds kind of hippie, whatever, but that's just what it
really
it's
hard, man. I mean,
there's plenty of assholes out there that'll walk all over you. There's a balance that you have to find. I find,
that was my big problem. You know what I mean? Is, and also, we're 19 years old, we're 18 years old, and it's like that what we were involved in allowed us to experience music in ways which no religion would ever allow, and all the, what I mean? All these things is, pretty, that you could say one thing or the other, but what happens at 19 years old is you're a fucking caveman, dude. It's, what I mean? And you're not even able to think outside of yourself for a long time. You know what I mean? And I had it to where pastors were telling me things that I was like, this is asinine, dude. Like, this doesn't make any sense in a real. Do you live in the real world? You know what I mean? Like, there's so much gray area.
They're telling you to live a certain way,
and literally. So many people just want to think this is what I believe, that's it.
Yeah.
They're not going to think the thought process does not go further than that. You know what I mean? And it's not that they're bad. I mean, maybe some people are really happy just believing it and they don't have to do the, you know, shoving it down your throat kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just, you know, you just start asking, when you do start asking questions and you get challenged and you're, you know, you're allowed to think outside of yourself, outside of your box with, and especially with your own personal beliefs. It's like, you know, from where I was at 10 years old, 12 years old to where I am now is, you know, it's a miraculously 180, you know what I mean? Not 180 even. It's like a 360. I have no idea what it is, you know?
Yeah,
but that's being a compassionate human as you grow up, which Christianity doesn't allow you to do a lot of times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that goes for any real staunch religion, you know what I mean?
Yeah, anything that's gonna have, in my opinion, money involved. One of my closest friends I've known since I was 5 years old. When I moved home to Ojai in 2015, after I was getting my divorce, he runs Bart's Books here in Ojai. And he said to me, and he goes, "Who do you think's the God of this world? Like, truly, who rules this world?" I was like, "I don't know, man." And he goes, "Mammon, the demon Mammon, money."
Money. Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh."
I mean, it is true. Yeah. I mean, it is true. You know what I mean? It's wild.
It blew my mind.
Getting that stoned, but like I don't want to think about that kind of shit when I'm that stoned. You know what I mean? Like,
Did that hurt a little?
Right. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I look at the moon and I go, "Man, I wish there was 2 moons like Star Wars."
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of shit I think about.
It's a full moon tonight, bro. Go outside after this, dude.
That's where COVID's taken me. Like I'm just like, look, when is the fucking revolution? The revolution gonna come? That everyone's gonna out.
Right. Yeah.
That's too good, man.
That's
no,
funny,
I find that art is a very good thing in the sense of music and philosophy and religion and all the topics. So like I get fed with my music because I'm a huge like classic rock guy, Radiohead, Sunny Day Real Estate. Like I'm all across the board when it comes to my music, but the metal and all that stuff. Like I'm a huge Tool fan. I hate Tool. I hate Tool fans, but I love their music, you know, and it's just like all these things when it comes to my artwork and my music and just my own spirituality, it is constantly changing me and evolving. And how can I be a better person to my fellow man and be able to handle life better?
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, what's a weird thing like that I think me and you have a unique perspective on is like there is a time back in the day where you had to incorporate your spirituality into everything you do. You know what I mean? Because that's how we're taught. We're supposed to do this thing. But then like as you become an adult and you become older, it's like, oh yeah, I can separate my art and my music from my beliefs. It doesn't have to be fucking one thing or the other. You know what I mean? So you can like you figure out like, you know, with your art, I mean, you had that Asunda comic is crazy. And is that your creation?
Like, well, Asunda is the franchise. That's my business partner, Sebastian. He's from England. He created this world over 35 years ago. And I jumped on board about 20 years ago with him. And I've been developing and designing and writing and creating stories with him. So I'm a big part of it. I'm a partner with him on it.
But it's just so much depth in that thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's really wild, dude.
It's a heavy thing because it's like Lord of the Rings, but it's culturally inclusive, or I should say it's culturally broad. Like if you're from Africa and you're an elf, you're black. If you're a dwarf from Asia, you'll look Asian. It has heroes that aren't just like cookie cutter. Like you go to Lord of the Rings, everyone's white. How do you get a non-white audience to identify with Frodo and stuff? Like, I mean, this is just the way of things, you know, how media was made. But we wanted to spin things and create something new and fresh. Like when Black Panther dropped, our phone rang like crazy
because of
Hollywood was like bang, 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 because our lead character is a black female elf.
Right. Niobe. What is it? Niobe. Yeah, Niobe is a crazy one too.
Yeah. So the phone was ringing like crazy, and we were able to say, no. Oh, I remember you, Bram, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just genuine. It's what I want to see. Like, I love Lord of the Rings. Like, I'm a huge Tolkien fan. I love all that high fantasy stuff. I'm a huge rat for Star Wars, all of that stuff. The Marvel movies, I love them. But I'm creating something new with my business partners, and we wanted to tell stories that we wanted to tell. And here's this gap where it's like, there's no Afrocentric fantasy. I don't see African elves cutting the heads off of orcs in a jungle. Well, we're working on that. That's what we're doing, and it's a lot of fun, and it's very rewarding in the sense of just knowing that, hey, this is a new thing. It's fresh,
How have you seen like the comic book? Obviously, comics for so many years were just for fucking nerds. I mean, that that's the thing. Like, how have you seen it over the last? Because first of all, it's got to be nice having this much time off of like Comic Cons and expos, right? Because I don't know if you know, John, but for the last 2 years, every post, it's him sleeping on the floor at some sort of convention. It's him fucking exhausted somewhere. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, man, what a grind. I mean, it's worse than touring, I would assume. Yeah, it's brutal. Know what I mean? So like, has it been nice being off? And then on top of that, like, what have you seen as far as like the broadening of like the comic genre as a whole? I mean, it must have branched out everywhere, right?
It has. Like that's a loaded question, but the first part is I miss it now because I've taken time off. It's hard, and I gripe and complain about it all the time, like when I'm doing it, but I do like traveling. I do like going to new places and seeing people's reactions to our material is pretty cool. But it's hard. It's a grind, and I want to get back to it. But in this new post-COVID world, we're not doing cons this coming year. I don't think. Maybe end of next year, 2021, if there's a vaccine.
Right.
But even if they set up a con to do it, are people going to show up to come?
Which,
so
we're morons, so probably.
Yeah, right. So we've had to focus our business model because that was a huge source of income for us.
Right.
Gone. So it's been difficult. And then as far as cons are concerned, I remember basically just someone handing me a badge and walking into San Diego Comic-Con, 15 years ago.
Right.
That those days are over. Like, 200,000 people, like, oh yeah, it matches my ID, I can get in. Like, it's just impossible. But like, there's some cons that are way cool. Like Emerald City Comic Con is super badass. That's up in Seattle. I like Rose City Comic Con's great. It's in Portland. But I was doing cons, like I had 1 year where I did, I think, 5 cons in 8 weeks. It was rough. It was like New York, Baltimore, Portland, like all this, like zigzagging all over the country. That was nasty. I was gone in one stretch for over 2 weeks, and it was not fun. So
that's brutal.
But I had fun, but it was a lot, mentally.
Yeah, it's definitely like I think a lot of people, like, I mean, I work in the music industry, touring and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think like you, like us, like everyone's kind of like, okay, this is nice. Mm-hmm. Like it's nice being home. Like the circumstances are complete shit. You know what I mean? Obviously it's horrible. But it is nice, like seeing the kids. For me, you know what I mean? Like fucking, like stuff like that. Yeah. I complained about it all the time back in the day, and I know it's going to come back. Mm-hmm. So I'm not like really worried about, I'm not like, oh my God, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? I know it's like, whatever.
It'll come around.
We're going to limp through the next year and a half. Yep. You know what I mean? It's what it
is. They're going to inject us all with chicken noodle soup and nanites. We'll be good to go.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. But like, everyone is kind of like, it is nice, not fun.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm getting a lot of drawing done and work done. Like I'll between this lockdown, I'll have my next graphic novel, one that I wrote and I'm drawing, like finishing the artwork on. Mm-hmm. Hopefully done by this time next year. It'll be out and ready to go. And it's savage. It's about an orc. It's about one of my main villains, and it's been something I've been working on for a really long time. And it's straight up orc cannibalism, the whole nine. Like it's
full Darrell May, dude. That's awesome. That's rad, man.
Yeah.
So I mean, is that when it comes to like the process of writing stuff like that? I mean, you're planning for a year out. I mean, when you start these endeavors, I mean, I'm sure ideas have been floating in your head for years, right?
Yeah, there's things that I just write down, little sentences. Like my business partner will be like, write that down, and like something, I'll say something. Like for instance, the Kickstarter I'm dropping tomorrow is for a project which is completely left field of what we normally do. It's called Ruining Christmas, and it's about two fuck up Christmas elves who are naughty list coordinators. They have one job: watch the list. And it's the most prestigious job in all the land. And they managed to screw it up. And the rottenest kid in all the land, little Joey Canuggins, you'll see it on my Facebook profile.
Yeah, I want to play it on the before that we start the podcast, if that's all right.
Okay, nice.
The video.
Yeah, he steals Santa's hat when they try and gas him with cheer gas. And it's basically a bromance. It's like The Hangover with Christmas elves. And I wrote a draft years ago, handed it to my business partner. He read it and he goes, man, this had a lot of heart, more heart than I thought it was going to have. And I said, dude, when you rewrite this, because we're both the writers on it, can you write this like a Guy Ritchie film? Because he's British. And he's like, oh, let me try. Let me think about that. Let me try. So it reads like Snatch or Lock, Stock or Rock and Rolla, but it's Christmas elves. So like when they go to Elf's, which is the strip club in town, there's this pimp outside named Mickey Mac, and he's like, hello, gents, would you boys like to, rather than just see, would you like to smell and taste your profits? Come down this way. And it's like literally like that. And he leads them down an alley, and it's just the plaguiest skanks they've ever seen. And they go back into the strip club. So it's literally The Hangover with Christmas elves, and it's really crass.
It's stocking stuffer for the kids.
Yeah. This is not for kids. It's good fun. Yeah, it's definitely in vein of R-rated South Park type.
Sounds cool.
Stuff.
I like it.
Yeah, that's badass, man.
That process has taken a long time, and here I am, Christmas of 2020. Launching a 25-day Kickstarter, December 1st to the 25th, to promote the first issue of the comic book. So,
which is hopefully going to drop when? At Christmas, or what are you talking about? When does it drop?
It drops tomorrow when it starts, the Kickstarter, or at least the first. Okay. The 1st of December. And we'll raise money to print up the first issues, and everyone will back the Kickstarter. And it ends on the 25th of December. Okay. So we're like, it's at 8 o'clock in the morning on December 25th. The campaign ends. Hopefully we should be funded by then anyways. Then it closes. And then about a month or two later, everyone will get their comics and stuff.
Oh, okay. That's what I was,
But we had a bit of a delay on the books because we had hardcovers overseas. When we were supposed to be getting those, everything shut down.
Right.
With the world's economies and everything. So it's been a grind, but like when people pledge the Kickstarter on Monday or Tuesday, December 1st or whatever, whenever this airs, if they pledge on day one, they get extra stuff. Like they get a free Niobe comic book. Like they get a bunch of really cool stuff. So in COVID times, you gotta roll with it and figure out how can we like get people to support this right now.
Is this like part of your process of having to change and adapt to COVID, not being able to do the cons and all that? Right. Yeah. Running these Kickstarters and stuff like that. So I mean, are you seeing a lot of comic book like independent production companies like going under and stuff like that right now? Or have you heard about a lot of
things are weird. Yeah, things are hard. And that's part of that loaded question you asked me is I've seen a growth in publishing since we started for material and like comics and comic book shops. They always have this up and down. Like we're non-essential. People need pavement and bridges and toilet paper. My dad's a rock star because he works for Procter & Gamble. You know what I mean? Making toilet paper and bounty paper.
It's like, guess what I got, kid? On this way in.
Yeah, legit, dude.
Yeah.
People hitting me up for free toilet paper because they know who my dad is. It's awesome.
It's funny.
So, yeah, it's great. He's awesome. But that's the thing is like, we're non-essential and we're artists. The arts are the first to go. Music, all that stuff, live venues, like all that kind of thing is just taking a back seat. We'll get back to it at some point. But
well, you're first to go and you're the last to come back too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we're working hard and we're trying to stay afloat. You know, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but we did close a deal with HBO last year, which helped on the Asunder franchise. But it's in development. That's all I can say. These things take a ton of time. And I don't know. I'm hopeful, and it's, cool. Yeah. But it's COVID. It's a new world. Yeah. Never did I think we'd have 100-year pandemic in my lifetime. The last time something like this happened was 100 years ago, and a few million people died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
speaking of like adaptations though, right? Like obviously you got whatever deal your thing with HBO, and I'm sure HBO's paying attention now, or everyone's paying attention to comic books now. That like did you watch Utopia? Have you seen that yet?
Which one? What is it?
Utopia. It's on HBO, I think.
No,
or Amazon. Oh my God. It's based off a comic book, but it is incredible, dude. I mean, but I was wondering, like, what have you seen like that you just like, I know Preacher was a big one, the adaptation, right? Stuff like that. Walking Dead obviously was the major one that spawned everything. But like, are you fearful that like they could take your shit and just tank it? Like, I mean, or do you just like, are you able to just like let it go and it is what it is?
It is what it is.
Okay.
Like it's HBO. They're great at what they do. Like, bro, I'm the huge Sopranos and Deadwood fan. Like that Deadwood is my jam. If you guys have never seen Deadwood, it's amazing. Yeah. And then their Band of Brothers miniseries is probably the finest bit of television, in my opinion, ever produced. Yeah. And the Pacific was cool. I love it. But Band of Brothers was on a whole nother level. The Sopranos changed television, in my opinion, like in a massive way. I have a career and I have a chance at making some stuff because things like HBO and The Sopranos exist. Yeah. Episodic television is the way of the future. No one's going to movie theaters. No, right. Like, never. It's again. Just the nature of it. Yeah. And I'd make a movie if someone offered us to do a movie, but it'd probably be a Netflix original or special or whatever,
Yeah.
But it is just the way of the media is changing in general. But I'm just a sucker for good television. Like, dude, I chode out and watched Downton Abbey. I'm watching The Crown right now. I just love that kind of television that's just like, I'm immersed in this. And I found that if you can grab your audience with the high drama like that, they'll follow you anywhere. Jack Kirby would say it best, the guy who created like the Avengers and like the X-Men and like tons of like DC characters and stuff like that. He said you can make a monster as creepy and ugly and this and that as much as you want, but you got to make it personal. Give it something more that will make audiences go, I identify with that. Right. And that's what we're doing. There's a gap with Niobe. There's a gap there in the sense of there being a female lead like that in a high fantasy. We always see it's the lone warrior. It's King Arthur. It's Frodo Baggins. It's Luke Skywalker. I just would really like to see a high fantasy where, there's my lead actress running around being chased by an ogre and it's going to eat her. Oh, it just ate that guy and it's violent. Like audiences, even with Lord of the Rings, they didn't see that. Game of Thrones was close. Like Game of Thrones, like as much as it kind of tanked at the very end, there were some scenes there where I was just like, this is incredible storytelling. Yeah. You guys saw it, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That scene, like I hated Jaime Lannister until he sat in that hot tub with Brienne of Tarth right after he lost his hand, and you find out why he killed the Targaryen.
Right.
He was gonna burn King's Landing to the ground. He lost his honor and saved the lives of 1 million people because he sacrificed the king for that. In his honor. Like I was like, this guy's my favorite. He might be balling his sister, but that character is amazing. That's good storytelling. And it's got swords.
Well, and it's a trip too, because I mean, comic books aren't nearly as, wordy or You know what I mean? So it's like to be able to tell good stories in a comic, a graphic novel, in a limited series like that, like you guys do, it's crazy because the art has to speak for so much of it. You know what I mean? What's going on in the situation. And then it's like you got a blurb, this big of dialogue, and it's like, man, it's just a trip to when because when you see Game of Thrones, that dude is a fucking killer writer. You know what I mean? Like, he's got novels this big to prove it. Like,
and it takes him forever to write them.
Yeah, and he's still not finished. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when when you're putting out a series of comic, it's like, how do you do it in such small increment? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's beyond my skill.
Yeah, here's the thing: is we plan it out. We have these stories. We know where it's headed. And dude, like, I have $1 billion budget with a pencil in my hand and a piece of paper. I can do what I want.
Right.
I have no constraints. If I want to draw armies fighting dragons, I can do that. And that's the beauty of the medium, is I can do what I want. And with the autonomy that we have, that with what we're doing, whether it be Ruining Christmas or Niobe or whatever we're doing, we get to decide. It's ours. We built it. It's like a band. I'm going to write the song and I want a 10-minute bridge and I'm going to end it with blast beats.
Yeah.
Like, because I want to, it's like when I hear like things like Converge's last record, that song, Aimless Arrow. And it's just like, the drums are going off and there's hardly anything going on with the guitars, and like Vicious Muse, it just starts off with drums. Like, that's some of the most aggressive songwriting I've ever heard. There's so much attitude and anger behind that song, Vicious Muse, that I'm just like, what did I just experience?
Yeah.
They did it because they're the artists and they make the rules. Same thing with Meshuggah. They do like this. For a lot of people, it's like completely repetitive. When they released that song Clockworks, I couldn't believe the breakdown.
I know. It's
like
insane.
Live, it's just this pumping pulse. And then all of a sudden they hit a bridge and the entire place is losing control and everything's being destroyed.
Right.
Like, it's just, I don't know, they're channeling something, and that's primal.
Yeah. I was listening to that band like a month ago. And I thought, I don't think I could play one of these like palm mute pick parts to save my kids' lives. Like, not one.
A gun to your head, you'd just be like, pull the trigger, man. I'm not even going to try.
I was like, because I've listened to them a lot, but I never, you don't, it kind of gets in a background, you know what I mean? If you're not really zoned in, but you're like, God damn, dude. Like,
no, like,
not one. I don't think I could do one. You know what I mean?
Dude, like, they break down that album Obzen. Like, they're interviewing the guys and they're talking about their gear. Just go and listen to their guitars, their guitarist and their drummer breakdowns. And like, the guitarist is like, yeah, this song's actually in a key of E. And I'm like, wait, what? And like, listen to the guitars. They're actually in a higher tune here, but the bass player is in a full octave drop of E. Like, he's, the guitars are higher. And I'm like, whoa. And if you watch them live, it's like they're up on their necks. And you're like, what is going on here? And like, oh, there they hit and drop, know, and it's just like the methodology behind the rhythms and their music, it's very calculated. And like, they're like a one of a kind. Neurosis is a one of a kind. To me, like Radiohead, like some of their earlier stuff is like one of a kind. Like, there's certain bands you will never recreate the Carpenters. It's just the artists and the art, and captured lightning in a bottle, I love putting the Carpenters and Neurosis in the same sentence.
I was like, yeah, Carpenters are cool, man. They bake shit. Oh wait, the band.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, the band. Yeah.
The band,
No, dude, just like Karen Carpenter, the pain behind her voice, the suffering she was going through. Like, to me, it's like, well, there's something going on there, something different.
For sure, man. That's wild, dude. So have you seen, like, I wanted to ask, like, is there anything that, like, you've seen at these Comic Cons with people dressing up like in your fandom that you're like blown away by? Or, I mean, is it still catching on, or is it a pretty wide, because I've seen a couple things that you post. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like we get a lot of cosplayers cosplaying as Niobe.
Yeah,
that's like a big one for us. And then a buddy of ours who became one of our executive partners used to cosplay as Dusu, one of our other characters. He's a really big guy. He cosplays him, but I've seen some pretty good ones, and I see a lot of crazy stuff like dudes on stilts in full like Optimus Prime and Megatron cosplays that are just like, bro, good for you. Like, and they're like, get out of my way, scum, and they've got the robot voices. Like, but the weird thing about cons is nerdery, and you ask this like it's super nerdy. It's really not, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, everyone's a geek in their own right. I mean, we're band geeks. We could nerd out about music all night long. It's the same thing for comics, and people dig it. And it was this nerd thing, especially when I was in high school.
Well, that's what I meant. Back in the past, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, in the past, it just shifted. Like the whole thing shifted. And dude, I've stood in line in New York Comic-Con having to take a piss and spending 5 minutes just talking to Jake the Snake Roberts because he's at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I've taken a piss next to Sam Jones from friggin' Flash Gordon from my childhood. Dude's weird. He's a great dude.
What does Dick look like though?
It's Comic-Con. I didn't look. I was tempted.
I would have.
They don't
Flash
Gordon
that's right, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. But that's
so
the thing
funny.
is like, and like from moms, and we have fans that are moms and dads to nerdy guys to, developmental, people that just like are just so appreciative of what we do. And just like to like just every walk of life. I've met every kind of person you could meet doing this. Every kind of person. And I'm just
so
like, this
wild.
is great. Yeah.
That's so wild, man. Yeah, because the
And they only
pictures
get
you
pissed
post,
off
I'm always
some of the
cracking
time.
up. I'm like, damn, dude, that's some wild shit going around. I mean, to be able to, it's like something to be said for creating a band, and you see people wearing your merchandise. You're like, oh, that's fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
Or someone comes up and says something nice to you or whatever, like, hey, man, like a band. And then, but it's like to see someone actually like represent what you've made as a character, and they've put hours of work. Because my daughter does cosplay. She loves it, you know what I mean? And awesome. She's really into anime, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But she spends hours doing this shit, you know what I mean? And even to find out that like, I was listening to something the other day, and it was like Meg the Stallion, that rapper. She's in that WAP video, like a massive. Anyway, WAP, that WAP video that.
What is WAP?
Oh yeah.
WAP. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. But the chick that's in it is like a massive anime freak. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck? It's like a trip, man. It's just, I'm always shocked at how far it's branched out into its own animals, you know what I mean?
Trust me, one of my least favorite cons to go to is Anime Comic-Con in LA.
Yeah.
It's not fun for me.
No, not interested. So is that the one part of like comics that you're just not interested in?
No, like when I think of anime, I think of things like Ninja Scroll, which are not for children, and Fist of the North Star, where people are exploding, like subjected to the real horrible stuff at way too young of an age. That's anime to me. Like, but there's Miyazaki, like that stuff's amazing. Howl's Floating Castle, Princess Mononoke, just beautiful works of art. I appreciate that stuff. But when it comes to things like Dragon Ball Z and all that other stuff, I can't get into it.
Are you fucking completely over zombies?
Yes and no. Like it's just, I'm a nerd, and if it's good storytelling, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like I've read, I've seen obviously like The Walking Dead. Like I tried watching this latest season and I couldn't.
Really?
They had me for a long time, like a long time. And these things come to an end. That's one of the things I like about the BBC is they usually end things before they flop.
Right.
American audiences or in productions tend to milk things until they're rotten.
Right.
And I like that.
Yeah, God bless the USA. Milk that shit till the fucking we're getting powdered milk out of that motherfucker.
That's right.
Yeah. Every last ounce of liquid. Bam, bam, bam. Like,
and then everyone's shocked when it turns to shit after 12 and a half seasons of a comic book. It's like, oh my God, dude, it's so
good for them.
Well, great. Good for him, man. I mean, that's beautiful, dude. What are some of the most like coolest comics that people probably wouldn't have heard of that you've seen lately? I mean, obviously, besides your guys' series, is there shit that's coming out that you're like really impressed with?
Yes. Yeah. Like the last couple of years, one series that I highly recommend is Mr. Miracle, which is a Jack Kirby Fourth World character, Dark Side, Orion, like all these old like Justice League cartoon characters and whatnot. A guy named Tom King that works for DC Comics wrote a series called Mr. Miracle. And I'm not going to spoil it, but it starts off with Mr. Miracle is a guy that can escape from anything, any predicament. He can just get out of it. He's like a Houdini of the DC universe. And he's married to a woman named Big Barda. And she was, I think, one of the Furies. Like Granny Goodness raised these women warriors on Apocalypse, which is this hellish planet of pain and hate. And they're married, and she's a big woman. So it's like Chewbacca and Han Solo when they're standing next to each other. And she's just a really big, beautiful woman, but she's big. Anyways, the comic starts off with him in the shower, and he just slit his wrists. How's he going to escape this?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So Mr. Miracle, I recommend. Okay. And then Jonathan Hickman's been writing the X-Men recently, and that's I highly recommend people check out House of X, Powers of 10.
Okay.
It's a really awesome hardcover for probably about $50 or $60, and it's like 12 issues, and it's a really rad X-Men book. It's revitalizing and retooling the X-Men universe for Marvel. It's like the main Marvel stuff I'm reading. I always read Spider-Man, and I always read Batman. Those are like my two core books that I read.
Oh, really?
And I love Spider-Man. OG Spider guy my whole life. But yeah, I would recommend that X-Men book, House of X. Is just look it up, and then Jonathan Tom King's Mr. Miracle. That book will mess you up. It's really cool.
That's cool, man. That's dark shit, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good stuff. And then of course my books.
Of course.
Yeah.
Comics.
But yeah, we really enjoy the process. It's hard, but we hang in there and we do our thing. So
yeah.
Nice. Well, you want to mention your Kickstarter and stuff, because when this comes out, your Kickstarter will be up and running.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Go ahead, give it out.
Give us the details.
So it basically you just go to like Stranger Comics or like my page, Darrell May, on either Facebook or Instagram. It drops the 1st of December, which is technically tomorrow for us. And it's just Ruining Christmas. Just if you go to Kickstarter and write Ruining Christmas, you can get on there. You can pledge whatever you want, $1, $15, $25, 100 and something, whatever people want to do. There's different tiers and things. So like if someone wants artwork from me and they want me to draw something on a comic book for them, like, cause I'm going to be drawing on comic covers. These we're going to print up blanks. There's a price point for that. I think it's like $60 or whatever for me to draw like a Joey Canuggins, like holding a dead cat, like in those kinds of things. So it's going to be cool. It'll go for 25 days and hopefully we'll hit our goal, which we should. And then, that's it. But just go Ruining Christmas on Kickstarter or on Instagram or Facebook. So yeah.
Beautiful, man. Yeah. Well, I'm going to try to get that video from you and play the Kickstarter thing on the video portion of the podcast. Sick. You know what I mean? So
nice.
I watched it the other day. I was cracking up. I was like, Jesus, this is so Darrell.
My business partner, he was like, he was trying to get me to do a Morgan Freeman voice.
Yeah, I could.
Because we're like, we were.
I was like, he's either going for Morgan Freeman or like Jim Carrey from The Grinch, or something in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he talked me into it. Like, cause we'd be like in New York City or Chicago somewhere, sitting in a cab, bored, driving, trying to get to the airport. And it was like, we'll just be sitting there and I'll be looking out the window and be like, the man stopped and realized that he couldn't cross the road without getting hit. Like I'll just start commenting.
Just narrating.
Usually, people start laughing around us.
Beautiful, man.
But yeah, It's good fun, man. I really enjoy it, and where we could really use the support and love. It's been a hard year, but it's been a hard year for everyone, so we understand. So it is what it is, man. But,
well, dude, thanks so much for coming on, man. It was a pleasure to catch up with you again. I can't wait to see an actual person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
we only live like 20 minutes away from each other again.
Yeah, I know.
Beautiful.
Yeah, dude. I think the last time I saw you in person was at the Deer Lodge at a Charman concert.
Right. Yeah, that would have been it.
Yeah,
that would have been it,
fun.
Man. All right, brother. Well, yeah.
Well, guys, have a good one. Good
Likewise.
seeing you.
All right.
Talk to you.
Bye.
Bye.
Merry Christmas, my sweet cherubs. The question is, have you been naughty or have you been nice? The elves have taken a liking to you. My helpers at Stranger Comics are bringing you a tale that will rattle your tinsel and carve your soul with a peppermint shiv. So get your mittens on their latest caper. Ruining Christmas.
What's up, Stranger Family? You are used to us bringing you comics on heroic elves of fantasy. So staying on brand, if not theme, we're really excited to share with you this new franchise, Ruining Christmas. Now, you might have seen us running around at a con back in the days, so we've actually been in the lab with this for quite some time. Only this story is just a wee bit different. Darrell?
Delicious. Christmas is in the toilet. And our heroes, Gimblestop and Kuznetsova Jr. have just had the shit beaten out of them by little Joey Knuggins, the rottenest kid in all the land. Now that he's taken the hat, what will they do? Santa Claus has lost the source of all his Christmas magic, and they may have to recruit the great and legendary Red Rogue to restore peace and good cheer across the snow globe.
I love being part of a franchise that's irreverent, wild, and weird. But underneath this first seemingly simple story is a message that sheds light on the entitled. This is gonna hurt some folks.
Indeed. This roller coaster romp will leave you gagging on mistletoe, milk, and cookies in all your squishy places. This is not for kids, and definitely not for Karens. But it's safe. COVID's safe. So don't wait for Santa. Look below and get the tea. This year, you get to stick what's in your stocking.
This is the first issue of a story that's meant to remind folks really about what the spirit of giving is all about. So, pledge below and spread some cheer. We appreciate you, we love you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. God.